Hi everybody and welcome to Meet the Teacher for Year 4. Hello. I love waving at the screens. It just makes me feel very COVID. And I will just keep admitting people while we're doing the presentation as well. I am here just to introduce and say hi, and then in a second we will hand over to Mrs. Kendall, Mrs. Cooper and Mr. Singleton, who will be here. I'm just admitting. Oh. This is my multitasking skills. So without further ado, you'll have a chance at the end to ask any questions you have about the whole year group. Hopefully most of the things you're thinking, oh, I just want to check this and this, will be included in the presentation. If they're not, please do feel free to unmute yourself at the end and ask questions, or you can pop it in the chat. That's absolutely fine. And I will hand over to, who am I handing over to? To me, Mrs. Kendall.
American. Hello. All right. Oh, and I've never actually led a Zoom meeting before, so this is going to be fun. So here we got Ms. Cooper and Mr. Singleton.
Hi.
Hello. Hello, everybody. So as you can see, and can I just say, this is really exciting for me, not only as a year 4 teacher, but also as a year 4 mom. Like, this year is going to be absolutely awesome. I'm so excited, as is everybody else. Yeah, so much cool stuff that we're doing. Yeah. All right, so there are 3 classes in year 4, as you've probably guessed from the 3 of us. We've got Mr. Singleton.
My class is Panthers.
And he works with Mrs. Ford, whose beautiful picture you can see there. We've got Miss Cooper.
Hi, I do share with Miss Shepherd, who is doing the class or working with the class on Wednesday and Thursdays and Fridays, and I'm working with them on Mondays and Tuesdays, and we have the lovely Mrs. Rolton with us.
And I am Mrs. Kendall. I'm the Jaguars teacher, and with me in my class is Mrs. Trainer. So yes, that is the staff. Do I need to admit this person?
Yes, please.
Okay, have I gone past the slide? No, I haven't. Okay, sorry. All right, so the structure of our day. So every day the children come in at some point between 8:40 and 8:55. And when they come in, there is arithmetic on the board for them to do. That's honing those math skills. And whilst they're doing arithmetic, we take the register, do all that fun admin stuff of checking the reading records and checking that they've done their homework. If it's a Monday, we go straight from arithmetic into maths. Which we follow the white rose, which is very handy because it's very pictorial and makes everything very concrete. Very big believer in that. We then go from maths to whole class reading. So far as a year group, we have read a poem about peanut butter sandwiches, which I know at least Jaguars, quite a few of them were keen to take it home. So quite a few of them did. This week, it's not quite as amusing. We're reading a report about Romans. Now, 3 days a week at 10:30, we have assembly. That's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday is our values assembly, although this week I did a Yom Kippur assembly. So if there's ever, an important religious event or big celebration, that's what the Monday assembly will be about, to inform the children about that. Wednesdays are our behavior assemblies, and Fridays are when we give out our not star of the week, our writer of the week and our achievement certificate. And then in that slot on a Tuesday, because homework is due on a Monday, children will mark their homework with the class teacher, or today with the class TA, which is a really good opportunity for them to say, okay, I've got this wrong and I don't understand why, please can you talk it through with me? And then on Thursday, we'll be using that time to read some of our class novel, which this term is a book called I Was There, about a girl, an Iceni girl, who her younger brother, and don't tell the children this because we haven't got this far yet, but her older brother steals her horse to go and fight with Queen Boudica to try and fight the Romans. And it's basically like War Horse, but from the point of view of the little girl trying to seek out her horse. So actually feeding into that, one of our whole class reads later in the term is going to be the first few pages of War Horse, because it feeds in very nicely to that. Then at 10:50, they have playtime. And that is 20 minutes outside, or unfortunately days like today, inside, because otherwise it'd be like we'd be sending you home drenched children, which nobody wants. And then at 11:10, they all come back in, and twice a week we do a spelling lesson using our school scheme, No Nonsense Spelling. And 3 times a week we do a grammar lesson. And it's not a discrete not a discrete grammar lesson in the way that they do it in year 6. The grammar that we do does feed directly into our English. So everything that we do in grammar is very purposeful, to the point of, okay, we're looking at non-chronological reports this week. We are going to look at pronouns because that is something that you need for the cohesion of a report. Then we feed directly into that, into English, which we do until lunchtime. Now, Sounds Right is going to be coming soon. I'm the weakest link in this chain. I haven't had the training yet. I'm having the training very shortly, but once I've had the training, we are going to be doing Sounds Right, which we've introduced as a whole school scheme. It's basically phonics and writing, and it's lots of different ways of teaching spellings. So obviously your children being year 4, they can read, they can write. We would not be starting with the simple sounds. We'd be starting with the more expanded sounds. In fact, could you guys talk a little bit about that? Because you have had the training.
I can try and recall it. Yes, we're going to be looking at the words and looking at the syllables within the words. So the children are going to be looking to spell those words using the sounds that they know. So they're going to be looking at the note there, the knowledge they've learned previously in previous years, and then trying to apply that to any word they've not been able to spell. But it's a nice little course, because the structure of it builds on each week as we build through the year, and then hopefully by the end of it, the children should have a lot of skills to help with their spelling.
And then after Sounds Right, we will be, well, we are doing foundation subjects up until 3 o'clock, which is the end of the school day. Now, in that foundation subject time, we will be doing a whole variety of subjects, and you can see the subjects of the curriculum here: English, the reading, the phonics, the writing, and the SPAG, which is the spelling and the grammar, and the maths. Those are core subjects, so those happen in the morning. In the afternoon, we do the whole gamut of subjects. We do science. This term, we're looking at how sound travels and what makes it work and how we hear. PE, which this term is football, and we're continuing to use real PE to build up skills. PSHE, art, which we're not actually doing any art until a bit later in the term, but I think they will love it, because we're going to be building Celtic roundhouses and then going outside to set some of them on fire. And then that feeds into our English, where we'll be describing the fires and the destruction that's left behind. So it should be good fun. Music, geography, history. This term, the history, is very much linked to our English. We're doing it within English. Geography is our separate concrete subject in the afternoon. We'll be doing history as more of a concrete subject next half term. RE, computing, DT, and French. So loads of subjects. The aim of the school is to give them a broad and balanced curriculum, and we are very much aiming to do that. Anything?
No.
All right.
Very well covered. Thank you.
All right. So our topics. Now, the whole of autumn is I Am Warrior, the Romans, but we've got different focuses. First half term, we're looking at Romans in Britain and how they interacted with the Celts. Second half term, even though this is in slight wrong chronological order, we're looking at Julius Caesar and at the Romans in Rome. Now, the reason for this is we are actually going to be looking at adapted versions of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. And I thought, coming into year 4, hitting them straight off the bat with Shakespeare might not quite be the way to go. I thought it might be a bit much. But I'm really excited for it. We've got the Globe Theatre coming in to do some workshops with the children. We've got all sorts of versions of the script, children's versions, novel versions, illustrated versions for them to watch. It's going to be a super amount of fun. I honestly can't wait. Then spring 1, we've got Raiders and Invaders, where we look at Anglo-Saxons and the Battle of Hastings. And then spring 2 is Road Trip USA. And I'm actually possibly the most excited for this one because I get to be all American, which is, super fun. And then summer 2, we're going to be reading Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone for the whole term, because it is such a long book with so much wonderful language. But yeah, first term of summer is potions. And then we move on to bottoms, burps, and bile, where we get the very exciting business of the digestive system and how that all works.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I love this year. There's so much fun, cool stuff to do. Now then, in terms of educational visits and Spark days, well, you know that on Friday we are going to Verulamium as a bit of a spark for our Roman topic. I'm very excited about that. And as you can all read, we've got these Spark days at the start or the end of the topic, just to support the learning and to give everything a real world context. I mean, it's all well and good us talking about Romans, but actually going to Verulamium Museum and seeing a Roman hypocaust laid out on the floor and what it would have looked like, 2000 years ago, and seeing those artifacts and handling them and talking to archaeologists about how they were found and what they were used for. That's just so much more impactful than talking about it in a classroom. The next half term, term, we've got the Globe Theatre coming to visit for a morning. We're going to be going to OAA High Ashurst, which I believe is high ropes course.
Yeah, so it's more about learning outside of the classroom. So the children last year would have gone to the Thames Young Mariners, where they would have done paddleboarding amongst other activities like orienteering.
I think you're allowed to canoeing.
Yeah, whereas this year the children are going to go to High Ashurst, which is more towards Box Hill Way in the Surrey Hills. And they're going to be doing a lot of adventurous activities, team building activities, but outside in the wild. So we're sort of taking the learning from the classroom outside as well. Because whilst it's nice to learn in the classroom, the kids really do come into themselves when they get out of the classroom, and we see a different side to them. So all of the children across the school will be taking part in this, and it should be in November.
Very exciting.
I know.
And then in the spring term, we are hoping to go to Hastings, which has been a traditional year 4 trip. We've got our residential to PGL, and it's actually, whilst I've been to residentials in my time, I've never actually been to PGL before. So I'm mega excited to go on a residential where you sleep in a building and not a tent, and where you get lots of chips, because I love a chip, as I'm assuming most of the children do as well. We're going to have an American Day on site, which I think we've never actually done before, but it's going to be amazing. Because I'm American, and yes, it's going to be amazing. What? So
We're just going to see how many times Mrs. Kendall can mention this, that she's American.
Yeah.
Okay. If someone can keep count, please. That'd be fantastic.
All right. We're also going to be experiencing the journey that food takes through our bodies. And I know last year they did this. Go on, Rich. What did you guys do?
We did a little passage of food. So how, when food enters the mouth, the process that it takes as it journeys through the body, and then also as well how it leaves our body. So the children will do this little practical experiments in the classroom, and it was quite good fun last year. The children loved it.
We had some very good expressions.
So we will make sure to take lots of pictures to put on reports of that. All right. Why can I not make this move? Oh, I've broken it. I've broken your computer. I don't know what I'm doing.
Press cross on it.
I'm sorry, you fix it.
There we go.
Okay, now in terms of assessment, most of the assessments in year 4 are teacher assessed. And to aid with those, we've got our Groveland's grids where we've got the criteria for, okay, these are the expected standards for maths, for reading, for writing, and we will be assessing them ourselves for that. The one statutory assessment that they do have, the government assessment, is a times table check, which will happen electronically. Now, because of COVID, this has never actually happened before. But they will be doing it on iPads and Chromebooks in school. So we are going to be pushing times tables very, very, very much as a year group, because we want them to be confident with it, not just because, oh, it's nice to look good for the government for the times table check, but because, when they get to years 5 and year 6, they need that quick arithmetic and that quick maths to be able to do more complex calculations and to aid with their reasoning and problem solving. Okay, now once a week we are released for PPA, which is planning, preparation, and assessment time. Our PPA is on a Wednesday, and the children are taught by Mrs. Anning, that's Leopards, Mr. Carlo, which is Panthers, and Mrs. Rogan, which is my class, Jaguars. That will be on a rotating basis. So next term, they will have a different adult doing slightly different things with them. All right, now in terms of homework, so daily reading, please read with the children on a daily basis. Now you might have a child who's a really keen bean reader. Great, they can read on their own. Do try to get them to read to you once a week, just so you can talk to them about what they're reading and ask them questions about what they're reading. I mean, reading really is the bedrock of everything that we do in school. Obviously, between Sounds Right and our whole class reading, we're going to continue to develop their understanding and comprehension. Now, in year 4, children might want to write in their own reading records, but we do still expect parents to sign it, and that can just be your initials. But if you could do that daily, just so we know that you have kept tabs on what they've been reading. Now, homework will be given out on a Wednesday each week. It's due on the following Monday. Now, it's linked to what we are doing at the moment. So please refer to the letters and the grids that have been glued in, because those are the pages we want them to do. We don't want them going crazy and saying, oh, I'm just going to do the whole book, because then A, there won't be anything left for them to do, but also it will cover things that we haven't gone over with them yet. So that kind of defeats the object. If your child has a Lexia account, they should at this point have brought home their Lexia login. So please do complete those weekly activities. And finally, they all have times tables, Rockstars logs, logins, and it's a fun way to help get ready for the times table check. Now, I know my class, at least, I've had done it up to the automatic programming, which is quite clever. It does it for you and says, okay, well, this child seems to be doing well with these tables. So we're going to give them the next set along. As I've already had a couple parents ask about, giving more specific tables. If that's something that you'd like, just ask or ask me. I'm in charge of math, so ask me. Don't make any extra work for anybody. Expectations. So we expect that children are at school on time each day and that they attend every day unless they're unwell. Attendance is expected to be 96% or higher. We expect uniform to be in line with Groveland's expectations, which means no jewelry, no large hair accessories, no dyed hair. And shade sections of hair they're just not part of school uniform, so we ask that those things are not brought in. Now PE, we've got Panthers have PE on Tuesday and Friday, Leopards on Tuesday and Thursday, and Jaguars on Monday and Thursday. So please ensure that your child is wearing their PE kit to school on those days. And then here we have our values. When you like to talking to me?
Yeah, so within Groveland's, we've chosen the 6 values. Now, when we chose these 6 values, the 6 their values were chosen from the children themselves. So last year we had a little bit of a vote and discussion, and amongst all the classes in the school, we came up with these 6 little values which represent Groveland's. So what we do throughout the term is we will teach these Groveland's values to the children. So we'll talk about the word, what it means, how they can show it when they see it. But then also as well, we reward the children for showing these values throughout the school day. So if the child is seen showing one of the Groveland's values, we'll give them a little gold token as well, just to show our appreciation of what we would like from them. And then this goes towards the overall school house point systems that we have. So it's just a nice way to recognise their efforts, a good way for the children to understand, what would we like from them on a whole school basis. And again, yeah, it's just a really nice way for the kids to develop themselves individually, following our values.
And I think as well, just to say that, school, obviously it's a bit about well, not a bit, it's about the academics, but, as a school, we do look to develop the whole child, and we want it to be a kind, determined, resilient community, which is what we're looking, exactly, which is what we're looking to build. Right. The behavior system. Now you just heard Mr. Singleton mention the tokens. We'll also be sending home Groveland's values cards, which is basically, so if a child has said, done something that displays, let's say, the value of friendship, they'll get sent home a card that says friendship on it, and the teacher will write in what they have done, which is another nice positive bit of reinforcement. Now, the house tokens, massive thing. We are really going to be bigging them up this year. Our 4 houses, we've got yew, sycamore, chestnut, and birch. And the winning house each term is going to get to have a special treat in school. I know we all do individual things in class as well. Again, all about positive reinforcement. So if we see something that we want the children doing, we find ways of positively reinforcing it so that they know to keep doing it, and they know that it's not necessarily, oh, well done, you found that lesson really easy and you're super clever. But I mean, obviously we want to reward that as well, but to say, oh, you struggled with that and you kept at it, that determination, that perseverance is excellent, have a values token or have a raffle ticket. Or now, if you have any concerns, or say if a child is worried about something, we encourage them to speak out about it by talking to a member of staff, and that will in the first instance be the class teacher or the class TA. I know most of us have got mood boards where they can come, and if they don't feel able to talk about it, they can put their name on an emotion, like say worried, and then we can see that and say, oh, I see you're worried. Do you want to come talk to me about what you're worried about? They can obviously talk to a parent, so either you or a parent of a friend, someone who they know, who can then relay the concerns to us, or they can write a note to any trusted adult who can then investigate. Parents, if you have a concern, firstly, speak to us, whichever one of us is your class teacher. If this has not been resolved, you may speak to the phase leader, who is Mrs. Hall, who teaches antelopes in year 3. And then if it still hasn't been resolved, the next step would be to go to one of the senior leadership team, which is Miss Cole, oh my goodness, like wrong name, Mrs. Coleman, Mr. Tuck, Miss Curtin, or Mrs. Anning, or Mr. Kempton. Covered everything. And parent meetings, we are going to be doing parents evenings again this year. You're going to be invited to make an appointment for the parent consultation evenings in autumn and spring, which I believe, at least for this term, will be electronic again. And then if your child has got a special educational need pupil passport, you will get invitations to come and discuss their specific targets. And the remote learning offer, most children will be in school now. However, if a child tests positive for COVID and then has to isolate, but is feeling well enough to do work, we will provide remote learning tasks. Obviously, if your child has got COVID and is unwell, we're not going to expect them to do work because they just need to concentrate on getting better. Okay, any questions that apply to the whole year group? So I'm going to see if I can make this work. Oh, we've got something in the chat here. Oh, the school's thoughts on smartwatches, in particular Fitbits. I would personally say
What
no.
we say is please don't
No,
bring those
please
in
don't.
because they are quite expensive items of electronic devices.
Yeah.
And again, if it gets damaged, broken,
Yeah.
it's
We
quite hard
can't
to
take
replace.
responsibility for that,
Yeah.
and you do
And
not
we say the
want
same with
that.
watches as well. You know,
And I think it's also, it's a bit of a safeguarding thing, particularly those smart watches. You know, they can't be having anything that's a camera in the school or
Communication,
anything
yeah.
like that. It's safeguarding and just, you know, it's if it goes walkabout or gets broken. All right, are there any other questions? And I'm sorry, Mrs. Coleman, can you, or somebody who knows what they're doing.
yeah, if anyone has a question, we'd just like to speak up or put it in the chat and then we can try and answer those questions for you.
Are they learning an instrument? Good question. Not right now. We are hoping Mr. Carlo is trying to teach them ukulele. She feels it's quite straightforward. So we are hoping that they are going to each get a term doing that.
But we'll communicate that.
But that will all be communicated when things are a bit clearer for us. Any other questions?
Okay. If you do happen, that's fine, don't worry. If you do happen to have any other questions that you think of at a later date, please do come and speak to the Year 4 teachers or myself or Mr. Tuck, or email into info. That's absolutely fine. Thank you so much for coming to join us. It's really lovely to share all the good stuff we're doing in Year 4 with you, and hopefully so you know what we're doing in school. Have a lovely afternoon, and we will see you probably at pickup.